Hello and welcome to the video. I am very under the weather today, so please do bear with me. I am not feeling the greatest. I've got my Super Daddy-O mug with me from my daughter. She got this me. Bear with me as I talk because I don't feel the greatest today, but I'm doing this because it's what I love doing and this is what relaxes me. So yeah, there we go. Anyway, on to what I'm actually going to talk about in this video. And what I'm going to talk about in this video is 10 more video games I think you should buy this Christmas for your Nintendo Switch. So these videos are doing quite well. I'm enjoying making them, so I'm actually making a series of this, so please do check out the rest of the videos I've made. I've made 2 other videos so far, and a video talking about the games that came out in 2024 that I think you should buy as well for your Nintendo Switch. So this is the 3rd proper video, I suppose, on this series. So here we go, let's get to number 1, which is The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening HD. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening HD is amazing. This is crazy good. Like, it's one of the best Zelda games in my opinion. Possibly my favourite 2D Zelda game. After I played this, I really did think that this was a really good remake of a game. And what this is a remake of Link's Awakening, which came out on the Nintendo Game Boy. That game is basically a sequel to The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. I think those 2 games go really good hand in hand. Link's Awakening was a bit more streamlined. It had like its own kind of feel to it, where it took place in this dream world. I won't spoil it for you, but it definitely has a very surreal feel to it. The idea is that Link washes up into this land. He is stranded from his boat and lands on this island that he has no recollection of, has no idea what it's about, and then eventually comes across this character known as Marin. Link then goes on to an adventure to find out where he is and find out the secret of the windfish. This is a genuinely great game. I think as a Zelda 2D game as well, it just plays really well. This is more like a 2D game with the axis on the analog stick, so you can go in any direction. It feels very fluent, this game. The graphic style of this game is kind of like toy-like. It's got that kind of chibi toy strange art style, but I think it looks really nice for a Zelda game. It really suits the themes of this game, with it being the surrealist dreamlike world. I don't think there was a 2D Zelda game that looks better than this one. So good that they actually reused this art style for the latest Legend of Zelda game, which is Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is easily one of the best Zelda games. I really love this game and I think you should definitely play this. It's a traditional Zelda game, so you will find dungeons and different little villages and a map that opens up the more items you collect and rupees you find. There's companion characters in this which you can use that follow you around and open up new areas. Think of it like a Metroidvania in a way, I guess, where you have to open up the world with new items and must play. Highly recommended. I'm getting through this. And carrying on with the Zelda theme, I'm going to talk about Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Now, this is a Koei Tecmo Warriors game. If you ever played a game series known as Dynasty Warriors, this is Dynasty Warriors with The Legend of Zelda skinned on top. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is the 2nd Hyrule Warriors game on Nintendo Switch. This one here is based on Breath of the Wild. The idea of this game is it's supposed to be a prequel to Breath of the Wild, and with Breath of the Wild being one of the best games on Nintendo Switch in my opinion, this is a great companion piece. While this game is not canon in the Zelda series, as far as I'm aware anyway, someone might be able to correct me on that, this game takes place in an alternate timeline where you go back in time and see how the events of the Calamity began. However, you have the ability to change events in this game. What this game does is it's kind of like a culmination of everything Breath of the Wild thrown into one game, and you get to play as pretty much every single character that is in Breath of the Wild. So for example, Mipha, Rivali, Daruk, Bosa, as well as other characters like King Roam as well. It's a really interesting game. Like, I generally think this is an amazing spin-off to the Legend of Zelda series. This is better than the first Hyrule Warriors game in my opinion. It's a little bit more focused. I think this really does embody what a good Dynasty Warriors game is. Like, Dynasty Warriors is an interesting fresh hack and slash game that takes place on battlefields where you're kind of supposed to choose your areas of attack, kind of like a strategy game as well as a hack and slash game, and you end up in big giant battles that take place through a story. In this game, that's exactly what happens. You'll have like this overarching story, and it takes place on different battlefields with different objectives, and you're supposed to take your characters into certain areas of the battlefield to basically secure different parts of the battlefield so that eventually your army wins. Eventually you'll end up fighting Guardians and Lionels and all kinds of monsters. It all comes up to building up this story that is eventually going to lead you to playing Breath of the Wild. Other characters also make an appearance in this game, like Impa and Pura, Robbie as well as new characters. That's Hyrule Warriors. It's an interesting hack and slash game. But this also leads me on to my next game, which is Fire Emblem Warriors. Now, Fire Emblem Warriors is pretty much the same game, but it's with Fire Emblem in it. Fire Emblem Warriors is also a hack and slash strategy game. So the way to think of this is, it's basically, when you play a Fire Emblem game, you're playing a game where it's almost like a chess battle. Like you're using strategy battlefield gameplay where you have to take turns to move. However, this is that gameplay from a traditional Fire Emblem game mixed with the Dynasty Warriors gameplay, mixing Fire Emblem with Dynasty Warriors. The idea is you're supposed to command troops in this game. You get the option to move your troops around the battlefield. You have to use rock, paper, scissors in this game. So rock, paper, scissors is the way you win. Using certain weapons in a fight will give you an advantage over a certain other enemy. For example, kind of like in Pokemon when you have 3 kind of like elements fighting each other. So for example, fire beats grass, grass beats water, and water beats fire. It's that kind of gameplay, and that's how this game plays. And play with characters from across the Fire Emblem series. This game actually focuses more on Fire Emblem Fates and Fire Emblem Awakening, as well as some characters from the like older Fire Emblem games, as well as 2 new characters. They make an appearance in this game as well to kind of focus the game as their story. Awesome game to play. It's not the greatest game in the Fire Emblem series at all, but it's still a great little strategy Dynasty Warriors style game, so enjoy it. And if you enjoy JRPGs, the next game I'm going to show you is Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. Now this is the original version of the game. I haven't actually got Vengeance, unfortunately. This is the original version of the game, so this is the base game. I'm going to talk about Vengeance. The way to think about it is it's the remastered version of this game. Yes, this game did get pretty much a remaster after like 3 years of being out. Shin Megami Tensei 5 was originally a Nintendo Switch game. It is now available on other platforms, so if you are interested, you can get it on Xbox Series X and PS5 instead. However, this game is phenomenal. If you are a fan of the Persona series, and yes, I might get absolutely flamed for saying this, I was introduced to this universe through the Persona series, and I eventually moved on to Shin Megami Tensei because Shin Megami Tensei is in a way the hardcore version of Persona. This is a much darker themed and toned game than the Persona series. Hard to kind of talk about this game without mentioning Persona, because I kind of feel like Persona is the more famous popular franchise. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is the original series, and you can't say you enjoy Persona without trying a Shin Megami Tensei game, because while this game series has kind of been forgotten about because of Persona, this is the original series. This game is so much more advanced, it's so much more hardcore, it's so much more difficult, because it's for those hardcore Persona fans, it's for the hardcore JRPG fans. This game gives you the opportunity to go into this demon world. The adventure takes place mostly in the demon world. Like Persona, you have got the life outside of that demon world. You go to school and stuff like that, but the majority of this game takes place in the demon world. And you have your companion characters. In this game, you get to have monsters as your companions. Fight with them alongside them. So that is kind of how it works. There are other companion characters to add to your party as well that join you throughout the game. However, this game isn't about that. Like, it's the style of this game is more of a story-based game rather than a character-based game, if you know what I mean. Like, the Persona series is heavily based on the characters, whereas this game is based on the story and the world building. It's a really cool 100-hour game, I suppose. This game will take up your time, so it's a good game to really get your teeth sunk into, because if you're going to buy this full price, the Vengeance version, I would get, because it comes with 2 campaigns, it comes with 2 stories you can choose. Vengeance is the newer kind of DLC. I hate using the word DLC because it feels wrong, but it is basically DLC for this game. Think Shadow Generations for Sonic Generations, it's like that. It was more gameplay added to the game. It's awesome. Get it. Let's talk about a first party Nintendo game. So the first party Nintendo game I've chosen is Nintendo Switch Sports. This game gets a lot of hate. Give it a try. It's not as bad as you think. I actually think this game is really fun. I've had a lot of times playing this with family and friends. We've had a lot of fun with it. It's not as good as the original Wii Sports. No, it's not. It doesn't feel as nice to play, and the character models, they're known as sports mates. They're not as good as the Miis that Nintendo created, and the Miis really should have been the main focus of this game. I feel like Nintendo are kind of trying to lose that branding now. Overall, as a game, this is still very, very fun. This game comes with tennis, badminton, volleyball, bowling, basketball, football, and golf. I think that's right. I think that's all of them. Chambara as well. Each game has its own kind of like value to it. So Chambara is a sword fighting game. If you've ever played Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, you have the motion controls to use the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con like a sword. That is basically what Chambara is. You are sword fighting. Think fencing. Chambara is a sport that takes place in like a circle, and the first person who gets knocked out of the ring is the loser, and that's basically what it is. It's a fun little mini game. Next up is volleyball, and volleyball is a net game. That's one of the main things about this game, I will say, is that this game has too many net games. When I say net games, I mean like tennis or badminton, where there's a net in the middle of the pitch. Yeah, there's too many of those in this game, but they are pretty fun as well. Volleyball is still really fun. Tennis is basically Wii Sports Tennis remade. Yeah, so you whack the Joy-Con around like you would the tennis racket. And then again with badminton, however, with badminton you would hit upwards rather than across. So it's like that. And it's all really fun. What you would expect from a Wii Sports game brought over to Nintendo Switch. Bowling is a return to form. It's the same game practically. However, the controls have been changed slightly because of the, people were throwing the controllers at TVs and smashing TVs. So I think the controls were changed to try and stop that in this version. I don't like them as much personally, but I can see why Nintendo did that. Football is the strangest one in this collection of games because football requires you to use a leg strap, which I do actually have in this. A leg strap which you put around your leg, and the idea is that you kick footballs. You've got like a penalty shootout mode. There is a football mode where you get to run around. It's kind of like Rocket League. There's different football versions to play. Penalty shootout is my favourite, I suppose. What I've noticed playing the penalty shootout mode, one person playing ends up getting put on the left side, so they have to use their left leg, and if you're not left-footed, it seems a bit strange to play. That's just from my experience. Maybe you can change that. And then yeah, so it's competitive when it comes to the football mode. It's still fun, not the best mode in my opinion. Basketball is like the basketball mode that was in Wii Sports Resort, and yeah, it plays pretty well. You get to throw it around. It's got, I think it's like 3 versus 3. It's there if you want to play it. Golf is one of the better games. However, this version of golf on this Nintendo Switch Sports feels a bit strange to play. It doesn't feel as precise as the Wii version, in my opinion. The Wii Sports version was far better than this one. It still feels okay. You can still play it, and it's pretty much the same game as the Wii Sports one. That is there as well if you want to play golf. You will have to download those games though. I do get the feeling that Nintendo will be adding more games to this. They've added basketball and golf over time. Don't take this as gospel. I think Nintendo will add more sports to this. There's a lot of sports they can choose. For example, baseball and boxing are missing in this game, so I could see them potentially coming back to Nintendo Switch Sports. Before I move on to the next game, I would just like to remind you that I have just hit 1,500 subscribers, so thank you very much. It's been a great journey so far. My goal was to get to 500 subscribers within 2 years, and I've smashed that 3 times. So thank you guys. Please continue doing what you're doing. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to this channel because I'm making more videos like this, and I'm trying to get to my next goal now, which is to get to 2,000 subscribers by probably like my birthday next year. So let's do it. Next game. Moving on, the next game I'm going to show you is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So this game is the 3rd game in the series of Xenoblade games. Xenoblade Chronicles is such an amazing series. I've been playing through the 1st game. I've not actually played this one, so I apologise if I'm a bit inaccurate with this one, but I'm still going to recommend it anyway because I love the 1st game so much that this is actually my next must-play game. It's mad how much content is in this game. Like, this is easily an 100-hour game. If you're going to buy this game, you're getting bang for your buck because it's that good. It's that open. There's so much to do in it. There's so many quests. The story is there. I've seen so much about this game, and I've seen people say this is the best in the series. A game that just expands on everything that is great about the 1st game. While this series is often overlooked from other like JRPGs like Final Fantasy, Persona, I feel like this is one of the up-and-coming series. I know there's been a lot of other Xeno games, like this is not the only series in that kind of franchise. This is the one that Nintendo have kind of been publishing. This is a great series to get into right now because it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. More and more people are jumping on this series. For example, Xenoblade Chronicles X is coming out next year, so if you want to get into the series, now is the time. With this being on Nintendo Switch, the series is there. Every single game in the series of Xenoblade games is there on Switch eventually next year. Once Xenoblade Chronicles X arrives on Switch, every game is on Switch. This one just feels like the biggest game in the series. Main character Noah has become part of Nintendo's catalogue of awesome characters. I feel like Noah's going to be introduced as a character in the next Smash Bros. Game, so they need a representative of this game. As a series, it's easily becoming one of Nintendo's most popular. It's becoming the next game series that is going to take over Nintendo. I know that obviously Pokemon, Zelda, Mario are the fan favourites, but this is easily reaching up there. The battle system in this is it comes with like this auto battle system where you're actually supposed to manage how you fight in the game. Like, it's not turn-based like other JRPGs. This is real-time combat. The idea is that you're supposed to manage what kind of move you're going to use, what kind of strategy have you got against an enemy that you're fighting. While you can spam attacks in this, it's not the best strategy for any kind of battle, because it's the different fighting style in this is that you're supposed to strategize how does the enemy in front of you react to the move you're going to use. This world is so big and open that there's so much to do, so many quests, and sometimes I think that Xenoblade does have a bit of a flaw to it when it comes to grinding. Nintendo have definitely proven that they are awesome at making IPs, at least taking old ones that have never really been massively popular and turning them into something completely new and big. For example, Bayonetta, was a PlayStation game, and then that was brought by Nintendo and turned into one of Nintendo's biggest series. It's hard for me to explain too much about this game because I've not played it myself, but I just know that there's so much about this game that is there that is going to just keep you occupied. Check them out if you haven't. I'm going to go play this now. And while I was just talking about Bayonetta, I'm going to talk about a game that is very similar to Bayonetta, and that is Astral Chain, a game that is made by Platinum Games. So if you've ever played Bayonetta, you'll love this, because this is a hack and slash action adventure game. This game takes place in this futuristic, neo-noir, Blade Runner, Evangelion, Akira style world. But that is basically what this is. It's like an anime Blade Runner, I suppose. It takes place in this detective world, police world. It is supposed to be a Bayonetta style gameplay hack and slash beat 'em up, but the twist of this game is you play as two characters at once. You play as one of the twin characters that you get to choose from. You choose either the boy or the girl, and then you also get to play with your chain character, which is known as a legion. They become your chain. You use them to choose actions, as in to fight your enemies. They fight alongside you, and they are tethered to you, basically. As a hack and slash game, this is fluent and massively open to a lot of quests. I think this is probably the best Platinum game on Nintendo Switch, apart from maybe Nier Automata, but that wasn't really a Nintendo Switch game first. This is one of the first party Platinum games, and I think this might be the best one. And I think generally this is a beautiful game to look at. It looks really nice, plays really well. It's fast, open gameplay, and if you play Bayonetta 3, it's very similar to having that monster mechanic which you can summon demons and they fight with you. One of the cool things about this is the ability to chain jump, so it gives you fast-paced gameplay with your legion character. There's different types of legions as well, so you're not just like stuck with one legion. There's other legion types, so you can pick and choose and which one suits you. Your characters are obviously equipped with their own weapons as well, so a baton, and then also has the legion and a gun to use. There's obviously different fighting abilities that you can use as well in this game. It's generally one of the best action hack and slashes I've played, so I think it's really cool. It looks really nice. Go pick it up, play it. Moving on now, we have now got Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Okay, I'm sorry about this one because this game is next to near impossible to find for cheap now. The reason for that was Nintendo made this a limited release. I'm lucky to have this in my collection, I think, but if you do manage to find this, especially at a cheap price, get it. Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy. Mario 64 was the original 3D platformer, and that is, in my opinion, one of the greatest games ever made. If you want a game showcasing what 3D games used to be during the 90s era when 3D gaming was becoming a thing, Super Mario 64 is the game to get because it's interesting to see how 3D games have changed over time. That game is so iconic, it's easily the most famous Mario game ever made. As a person who grew up with the Nintendo 64, I really loved that game as a child. One of the best games ever made, and it's always at the top of like top 10 games ever made. The idea of the game is you go into Princess Peach's castle, you go into different paintings and you actually jump into the paintings, go to different worlds within the castle, and you go and do different missions and collect the stars, which you have to collect to beat Bowser at the final part of the game. So yeah, I really do recommend Super Mario 64 if you can get this collection. I then also recommend Super Mario Sunshine. Super Mario Sunshine is my favourite 3D Mario game. It's not the best one, probably the worst actually out of the 3D Marios. But as a game, I have a massive soft spot for Super Mario Sunshine. It's so unique as a Mario game. You play with a character known as Flood, and Flood is a companion to Mario, and the idea is you're supposed to use Flood as like this water jetpack to traverse around the world. You also get different abilities with Flood, like you get the booster jet, and then you get the rocket jet you can also use with Flood, and there's loads of different like mechanics with Super Mario Sunshine. And I think apart from Mario Odyssey, I think Mario plays the best in Sunshine. The only thing I don't like is there's no long jump in Super Mario Sunshine, which is kind of a downer, but there is the body slide. As a parkour style platforming game, I think it might be the best in the series for that. There's actually these kind of bonus levels that you go into, which are challenge levels, which have the iconic music in the background, which everyone knows. And Super Mario Sunshine is just one of the most interesting Mario games. It's also probably one of the darkest Mario games because Mario is treated as a criminal in that game. It's a little bit more negative as a Mario story. What I like about Super Mario Sunshine is the world feels connected. Play in this world known as Isle Delfino, and every level feels connected to another level because you can see the other levels and you can see them in the distance, and it just feels like a big open world. And I like that about Mario Sunshine. While it's not an open world, it feels like a world you can walk around, and I would love to go to Isle Delfino if it was possible. You know, I would go there because it just feels like a very nice holiday resort, a vacation. That's the point of the game. It's supposed to be Mario's vacation gone wrong. And then moving on to the final game in this trilogy of games is Super Mario Galaxy. And Super Mario Galaxy is a lot of people's favorite. Super Mario Galaxy is the most different out of the three because it feels like the most linear game in the series. As a game itself, it's unmatched because the levels and the gameplay, the gravity mechanics within Super Mario Galaxy work really well. There was another game known as Sonic Adventure 2 which also had a level that was very similar, where you played as Rouge the Bat and they had gravity mechanics and it just felt awful. And this game managed to get the gravity mechanics down to a T. Like, you can literally walk upside down and it doesn't feel weird at all. Super Mario Galaxy, while it's not my favourite out of the three, this one is probably the most popular, with it being on Nintendo Wii, which was one of the most popular Nintendo consoles. A lot of people played Mario Galaxy. With Mario Galaxy just being incredible in general, like the story's good. It introduced Rosalina as a character in the Lumas. It added lore to the whole Mario world. The level selection and the different challenges, like the green stars which you get towards the end of the game, which add extra challenge. The opening music as well is just phenomenal. Like, the first level has some of the best music in Mario in general. Gusty Garden Galaxy is in this game, and that is easily one of the best Mario levels. I just really highly recommend all three of these games. I think as a game, Super Mario 3D All-Stars is awesome. It's an interesting one because when this game came out, it was full of bugs and it felt a little bit lackluster. A lot of people complained because it just felt like we were playing bad ports of the game. It didn't bother me too much. They actually fixed Super Mario Sunshine because you couldn't have inverted controls in Super Mario Sunshine. You had to play with what was very strange controls, and it ruined the experience a little bit, but they have fixed that now. You can play with a GameCube controller as well if you have the ability to. Super Mario Galaxy did actually used to play with a nunchuck and Wii remote, so it used the pointer controls. You can still do that with this game with the Joy-Cons. It doesn't feel as nice in my opinion, but it still works. And Super Mario 64, the only gripe I have with Super Mario 64 in this game is it feels very dated with the fact it's not full screen, and they could have done that easily. If you want a piece of history, get it. Next up is one of the biggest games on Nintendo Switch and is one of the most popular games, and that is Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. Pokemon Violet and Scarlet is the open world Pokemon game. These are very controversial. They're good, like they're good games. I really like these games. I think they aren't bad games at all. However, they are very poorly optimized. These games really should have been made for the next console, in my opinion. I think these games should have been made for Nintendo Switch too. As Pokemon games, like I say, they're still fun. Great addition to the series when it comes to world building and new Pokemon. I feel like these games were rushed when they came out, or the Christmas period in 2022. They've had DLC added to them. There's been 2 big DLC packs added to these games, and they're good. Like, they aren't bad. These games are played a lot online. You know, shiny collecting is a big thing in Pokemon, and these games are really good for shinies. This is the first attempt at Game Freak making an open world Pokemon. So in this game, you get to choose your path. You don't go like down routes like you do in other Pokemon games, like in Sword and Shield or Pokemon Red and Blue, following a linear path. Whereas in these games, you literally get to choose where you go next. Music is nice in this, actually. I really enjoyed the music. I think these games are essential because they are Pokemon. If you like Nintendo in any form, Pokemon is the essential series. It's the biggest media franchise of all time. There's no reason to miss these. Like, they're still good games. They feel horrible when it comes to frame rates and optimization with like pop-in and stuff like that, and there's a lot of glitches in these games. I don't know if like Nintendo have actually fixed any of that. I would like to see them remake these games in a form, I suppose, kind of like remaster, kind of like they did with Shin Megami Tensei 5, where everything is put into one cartridge, like all the DLC and that, and they've optimized the game for the next Nintendo console. I kind of wish they would do that. I don't know if Nintendo will, but that's kind of what I hope. If not, then at least get the games anyway, because they are Pokemon, and Pokemon is just a great series in general. Like, if you want any kind of history in Nintendo, there's no way you can't not talk about Pokemon, because Pokemon is just, it's so famous and popular. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Hall of Fame of Nintendo. If you have any interest in gaming, any kind of knowledge of gaming, this is the game to get. And the reason for that is every single character virtually is pretty much in this game now. This is crazy good. Like, I don't know how Nintendo have done it. Like, they've added characters like Minecraft Steve, Cloud from Final Fantasy, Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid, Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Crazy characters added to this game. And what started off as a very niche kind of small Nintendo game on the N64 has evolved into something that is just awesome. Ultimate Nintendo game, because it has everything you need in it. You can think of every Nintendo character that is in this game, like every Nintendo character you can think of, every major character, apart from Waluigi for some reason. So there's representation everywhere. Even characters like Pac-Man and Duck Hunt, who are just so obscure and niche characters to anyone who's not a Nintendo fan. It's all here, and there's so much to do in this game. There's hundreds and hundreds of hours of gameplay here, and there's an online mode which isn't the best online mode ever, because Nintendo's online isn't the greatest. Online, you can battle other people across the world in this game, and it's very competitive. It's very difficult to play online because there's so many people out there who are so good. But that's one of the awesome things about this game, is it's so pick up and play. After a couple of hours of playing it, you'll be smashing everyone. Once you find your main and you know who you like to play as, there is literally no reason why you can't just go play online and enjoy yourself. Playing with friends as well is great. You can play with up to 8 people, which creates absolute mayhem. You have to have connection though. You have to have like multiple switches to play with 8 people. But you can play with up to 4 people on one switch, which is still really fun and chaotic. So many massive levels in this, and many familiar levels from different worlds of games you've probably played. I just love this series in general. Like, this is one of the series I look forward to. I am expecting there to be a Super Smash Bros. 6 for the next Nintendo console, and I don't know where they'll go from here, because this is the ultimate Smash Bros. Game, and everything you need in a Smash Bros. Game is here. Like, I don't know what they can do for the next Smash Bros. Because there's just so much content in this game, so many characters, so many different levels, so many different game modes. You can also use your amiibo for this game as well. It's just a fun competitive game. It's one of the best competitive games. I would say this is the second best competitive game on Nintendo Switch after Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The idea of this game is when you fight, you have percentages at the bottom of the screen. So your percentage is how much damage you've taken. The more damage you've taken, the more likely you are to fall off the stage. And if you fall off the stage, the person who knocked you off the stage will gain a point, and you will lose a point. So it gets chaotic. So to win, you're supposed to be the person who knocks the most amount of people off the stage. It gets very, very crazy and competitive, because people just want to keep fighting and knocking you off the stage. It gets challenging because there's things like edge guarding, there's the smash ball which gives you special moves, different items you can pick up like spawns of items and assist trophies, which are lots of different characters, haven't been made playable characters but have been added to the game to help assist you win a battle. There's also the final destination mode as well, which turns every stage into this kind of like, which turns everything into this one layer stage where it's literally just you and the other player fighting. And final destination mode is fun. I actually really like final destination mode because it's like having two boxers in a ring and there's nothing to stop you apart from the other player. Smash Bros. Ultimate is just crazy fun. There's so much to do here. Like I say, it's the Hall of Fame of gaming. When a new game is announced, the first thing people do is they go, oh, I wonder what characters are going to be added to this game. And that's probably what will happen with the next Smash Bros. So if you weren't there for the reveal of Joker and the reveal of Sephiroth, you missed out. Thank you for watching. That has been 10 video games I believe you should get this Christmas for your Nintendo Switch if you are looking for games to pick up. Currently, this is the third episode of the series, so that's 30 games I've given you so far, which you should get. Thank you for watching. If you have liked this video, please do like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. I've just hit 1,500 subscribers, so I'm trying to get to my next goal, which is 2,000. So thank you. Really appreciate it. Please continue what you're doing. Also, I would like to know, what games do you recommend for Nintendo Switch? Let me know in the comments, because I might make a video in the future about your guys' choices for Nintendo Switch games. Check out this video here. This was last week's video of this series, and I will leave you with that. Thank you for watching. Bye!